At Fulchester Crown Court, Margaret Turson, a senior official in the Foreign Office, stands accused of offences under Section 2 of the Official Secrets Act. It is alleged that she conducted herself in such a way as to endanger the safety of secret documents entrusted into her care. Miss Turson is pleading not guilty. Acting on information received, Special Branch police officers maintained a close surveillance on her when it was learned that she had formed a relationship with the young East German Hans Müller. Müller was part of an East German trade delegation visiting Britain. They were followed to various places, and eventually police officers armed with a search warrant entered Miss Turson's flat. They discovered Müller in a room with the defendant. In addition, they also found documents classified secret, which had been taken by Miss Turson from her office. The prosecution, led by Jonathan Fry, QC, has opened its case, and Inspector Collings of the Special Branch has just been sworn in.
Circumstances leading to the defendant's arrest?
Yes, sir. On June the 2nd of this year, as a result of information I had received, I was maintaining a close surveillance on Miss Turson.
What is a close surveillance?
Around the clock.
24 hours?
Yes, sir. We divided the day into 3 8-hour shifts. I was accompanied by Sergeant Rawlings. On June the 4th, she met a man in town, greeted him in a friendly manner. They went into a restaurant. After eating, they visited a cinema.
And after that?
He took her home in a taxi and left her at the entrance to the building where Miss Turson maintains a flat. The name of the man was Hans Müller.
What country was he from, Inspector?
East Germany.
And did you find out what he was doing in this country?
Yes, sir. He said that he was a member of a trade delegation visiting Britain to foster better trade relations.
Really?
That's what he said, sir.
My Lord, if my learned friend is a witness in this case, I have no objections to his ironic asides. And however, if he is not a witness, I submit he confined himself to his role as advocate.
Yes, Mr. Elliot. Go on, Mr. Fry.
You were recounting your surveillance of the accused, Inspector.
Yes, sir. The defendant met Müller on several subsequent occasions until July the 1st, when he entered her flat for the first time.
Were you present on all these occasions with Sergeant Rawlings?
Yes, my lord. I saw all this, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Was the defendant with Müller when he entered her flat?
Yes, they arrived in a taxi. They had a conversation outside, and then they went into the building.
What time was this?
At 11:28 p.m.
Did the defendant leave her flat that evening?
No, sir.
Did Müller leave the flat that evening?
No, sir.
What time did he leave?
At 8:12 the next morning.
Would you now refer to the events leading to the defendant's arrest?
On the 7th, she met Müller, again on the 8th, and again on the 11th.
Did Müller again spend the night in Miss Turson's flat?
Yes, on 2 occasions.
Go on, please, Inspector.
On September the 10th, I received certain information about a set of documents classified secret.
My Lord, there will be evidence that these documents have been signed out to Miss Turson and that they were missing from the safe where they were supposed to be kept while they were in her care. What did you do, Inspector?
I applied for a search warrant, intending to enter Miss Turson's flat the next time that Müller visited her.
Why did you want to search her home?
Well, at 6:10 p.m. on the 10th, Miss Turson was seen leaving the office with a special Foreign Office briefcase.
Did you report this fact?
Yes, sir. And then after I'd received certain information, I obtained a warrant to enter her flat the next time that they were seen together.
This certain information, I'm sure my learned friend would not object, was that the documents were missing.
Yes, sir.
Go on, please.
On the night of the 11th, the defendant and Müller entered her flat at 10:15 p.m. At 10:45, I knocked on the door, accompanied by Sergeant Rawlings. The door was opened by Miss Turson. I showed her the search warrant, explained who I was and the purpose of my visit.
Did you search the flat?
Yes, sir. In the living room, where Müller was seated, there was an open drawer in a writing desk. And in the drawer, I saw several documents stamped with a secret classification.
My Lord, there will be evidence that these were the documents that were missing from Miss Turson's safe. Did she say anything, Inspector?
I cautioned her and told her that I was arresting her. She said, "I have nothing to say." Müller spoke to her in German, something which I couldn't understand. She nodded, and she said nothing more until she was taken to the police station, and there she was formally charged with offences under the Official Secrets Act. By that time, her solicitor had joined her.
Did the defendant make any statement after she'd been charged?
Yes, sir. She said, "This is all a ridiculous mistake. I'm innocent."
Thank you.
Well, let's at once go to the nub of your evidence, Inspector. When you entered Miss Terson's flat,
Yes.
what was Hans Muller doing?
He was sitting down
Where?
on the settee
Where in the room, Inspector? Geographically, in which location?
in front of the fireplace.
Not at the writing desk.
No, sir.
Can you recall if Hans Muller was doing anything while seated in front of the fireplace?
Well, the record player was on, and I think he was listening to music.
Listening to music.
Yes.
And it's right, is it not, that at no time did you see Hans Muller anywhere near the writing desk which contained the classified documents?
No, well, they were lying in an open drawer of the writing desk.
I don't care if they were pinned to the lid, Inspector. The fact is, when you entered the flat, Hans Muller was not looking at them, was he?
Not when I entered, sir, no.
Inspector, you know better than that. Now, let's keep speculation out of this courtroom, please. Did either Miss Terson or Hans Muller say anything to suggest that he had been looking at them?
No, sir.
No. Did you see him look at them?
No.
No. Did you find any photographic equipment on Hans Muller?
No.
No. Did you find any evidence on him to suggest that he was planning to copy the documents?
No.
Have you had much experience in espionage work, Inspector?
Some.
In your experience, what's the most difficult part of your job?
Catching spies in the act.
You mean at the decisive moment when one person hands material over to another?
Yes.
Now, why is it necessary to catch them doing this?
Well, to prove that the offence has been committed.
The documents were found to be missing on September the 10th at 7 p.m.
Approximately.
What time did you obtain the search warrant?
Within the hour.
So you and your staff kept close surveillance on Miss Terson for 24 hours before taking any action.
That's true.
And do you think she was aware that she was being watched, followed by you?
I'm positive she wasn't.
During those 24 hours, Miss Terson and Hans Muller were together in a number of places. The park, for example. Quiet, unobserved. And Miss Terson could have handed the documents over then, could she not?
Well, that's true.
But although Miss Terson had the opportunity to hand the documents over, or at least let Muller see the documents, she didn't do so, did she?
No. Not while they were in such places where we had them under direct observation.
You kept them under surveillance all this time and took no action because you hoped to catch them in the act.
Of course.
Without success. When you finally entered the flat, you did catch them.
Yes.
Listening to music.
Will you remind us, Inspector, of the time at which Muller and Miss Terson entered her flat on the night of September the 11th?
At 10:15 p.m.
10:15 p.m. And you entered at?
10:45.
Ample time, in fact, for the documents to be shown.
Yes, sir.